if you look, I think you all have, you can read what Beyond Social Services is, and Gerard describes himself as, so Beyond Social Services works in rental housing neighborhoods to become villages that raise their children well. And I would point out that he's kind of like the village elder or wise sage of that community. But you can read about his bio on your own time. This is the kind of person Gerard is. Gerard is the kind of person that says, when I invited him to this forum, you know, is this the kind of conference where everybody comes and listens to a few experts? And I say, unfortunately, most of the time it's going to be like that. But we hope to have a dialogue as far as possible. But that's the sensibility Gerard brings, right? There's a way of doing things we are comfortable with, but there's a different way and possibly a better way. And I think I've learned a lot from my interactions with Gerard. And the whole point of the session, I feel, well, think tanks like IPS like to talk shop. And I've talked to parent support groups that say, you know, we don't just want to come and talk shop. We want to do something. And perhaps that's something that we can also try to do together. Perhaps we can be a people-powered think tank. IPS can try that for size and see what happens. And no one better to learn this than the godfather of community development in Singapore, who stuck to his guns, did it, still doing it, not for fame, glory, status, wealth, or prestige, but he has a ton of street cred. And we should bring him from the village and the streets to the podium once in a while, because we need to learn from him, and he has wisdom to share. So please put your hands together for Gerard Ee.
Hi everyone, good morning, and thank you, Justin, for very kind words. Sometimes I can't believe Justin, because he puts on the program to come dressed casually, and if that's an idea of casual, I don't know what I look like now. Anyway, I thought I'll set the context. I've been doing this work for a long time. I work in low-income neighborhoods, and the type of community that I speak about are communities within public rental housing. And in Singapore, there are 276 blocks. I am in contact, or my organization is in contact with other people with about 60 blocks. All right, so that is the context and the type of community I'm talking about. So, okay, look at this picture. You look at 4 women laughing, having a good time, and you would think that they've known each other forever and they're good friends. Well, they are good friends, but about a year and a half ago, they were neighbors, but they were also strangers. They did not know each other about a year and a half ago. What a colleague actually did was to listen and talk to all of them and realize that they actually had a shared concern that the kids were not doing well in school and needed some support in school. So what we did was we brought down volunteers. I think it was from a junior college, and they came in the evening and they did tuition in that neighborhood. This is Jalan Bukit Merah, by the way. And when volunteers came, there was no space to do tuition and all. And these women, they were quite ingenious. They actually said, okay, the hawker center works in the morning. In the afternoon, it's cleared. We come a little earlier. We clear the place a little bit, and the kids can have tuition at the hawker center in the evening when no one was occupying it. And that's what they did. And it went on for a while, and it wasn't quite satisfying because there were more and more kids coming and a little noisy, a little distracting. And so they asked themselves, what more could they do? And so what they did was, and tried to advocate for themselves, they took pictures of the kids having tuition at the hawker center, and they forwarded those pictures to the MP. And when the MP saw them, the MP, of course, opened the RC Center for them and said, look, you guys, please use the RC Center. Now, those women gathered together because they had driven by a purpose to care for their kids. But that gave them a purpose. It made them strong. But what I want to talk about today is not how people gather for a purpose. It's how people, when they gather for a purpose, how community actually is formed. And there's this experience I want to share about, like, what is a strong community? I've actually used them as an example. because to sort of capture their life experience to show you what happens when people actually come together for a purpose. And that is community. So, all right. We all know it's a way of belonging. That's how we would describe it. And when we say it's a way of belonging, it's not just a sense of belonging. It's something that belongs to me. And that's why we call it a place that we call our own. All right? It's quite commonsensical. But when we come together in this place, it's not just a physical place. It's a place of there's purpose, like how I've described earlier. It's also a place of interest. So if people like dogs and they come together and have a dog club, that's fine. People like to do coding, they come together and they do something, that's also fine. That's by interest. So what defines community then is that when you come together, you feel connected and you feel happy, you feel contented. And when you come together, you can give and you can receive support. So I don't come to buy something, I come to give and I come to receive as a result. And it's always a possibility, and I use the word always, I stress, it's always a possibility, because as long as we own the questions and we are clear, why do we come together? What is it that we want to create together? What's the difference? The difference could just be having a dog club, or the difference could be having tuition for my kids. But what is the difference that we want to create when we come together? And this is a difference that we can't do alone, we can only do together. So if one of them actually took tuition from one of our volunteers and just cared for his or her own child, and we took the photo of one child in a hawker center and went to the MP, the MP probably will say something like, hey, that's Mendaki, that's Cinder, that's CDAC, you should go for one of those tuition programs. Right, they'll probably say, go. But when they show one whole group of people at a hawker center and say, hey, look, these are your constituents, a whole group of us here who don't have a decent place for tuition, it's different. MP say, of course, use the RC Center. All right, so that is the difference. When people come together, there is a difference. I think when we talk about community as opposed to a consumer society, for instance, if I want something, I buy something. But in a community, if I want something, how do I create it with the people around me? So there are actually three properties of a community. One is gifts, as opposed to needs. A lot of us work in VWOs. We have to do a needs assessment. With a needs assessment comes funding and comes services. This is very different. In a community, the raw material are not needs, they are gifts. Because with gifts, we can do something together, right? People are strong. The next thing is associations. Association is a process where these gifts can actually be given. These gifts can actually be manifested. If I come together in association, there's a purpose for me to come together to use these gifts. And the last property is about hospitality. When I'm more hospitable, I welcome more people. Actually, every time I welcome more people, I welcome new ideas, and that is the welcoming of gifts. So my gifts grow, right, when I'm hospitable. So I just elaborate a little bit. So it's 3 women, associational life, they came together. They wanted to get together to provide tuition for the kids. And they also welcome other gifts. So now they even have a fitness program in the neighborhood because there's a fitness instructor who comes every week, does a program, and they're very happy. They welcome them. So as they welcome all this, there's a purpose and there's a gift. They are able to create a better life for the kids in their neighborhood. But what actually has happened, the community that happens because they come together. One of these women actually is divorced with 2 kids, and for a long time she didn't have a home, and it was quite bad. But another lady in this photo actually got together with her husband, and they opened up their 1-room flat. They changed the beds into double-decker beds, and they put everybody in a 1-room flat. And the husband did, something that is not so legal, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it, anything criminal with it. He actually said, wow, now so many people in the home are very hot. It was already hot. So I don't know where he got some money, and he actually put air condition in their home. Next time you walk to a rental block and you see an air conditioner, don't assume that people are actually wasting money. Okay, actually they're caring for each other. So I don't know how he fixed an air conditioner in the home, and he put 2 families, this divorcee with 2 kids and his own family together, and he changed the base. And it's basically a solution that I don't think any service provider down here can provide. Then another one of these ladies, there are 5 kids, husband lost a job, very difficult position. So other people in the neighborhood actually brought her from one service center to another service center, and just to get all the services. But still, what is the problem, right? The problem is still money not enough. How much is financial aid, right? So money is not enough. And what happened is there was an older lady that's in the group that had a hawker stall, and she decided that, okay, maybe it's time to call it quits. Give my stall to this lady with 5 kids. So she retired, and she gave the stall to the lady with 5 kids. And she had the skills, it was the right circumstances, and actually today, the lady with 5 kids is quite stable because somebody gave her a hawker stall. Again, which service provider actually gives hawker stalls? Right? So this is the type of community that actually happens when people get together and they start caring for each other. They care for each other not just within their purpose, but because they are connected to, not just for their own needs, they're connected to people around them, connected to the world, and they want to create a world that is more hospitable for all of us. So associations are the premise whereby these gifts can be actually given. Hospitality is also another thing about community. We are always welcoming of people. I want to stress this because when people think of community, they think of a close thing. This is the ABC community, that's the yellow community, that's the blue community. Yellow and blue cannot mix, otherwise become green. So, when people think of community like that, they think of exclusive groups. I'm not talking about exclusive groups. I think you are not community if you are not welcoming of people. Community is an ongoing endeavor to be more inclusive of people. It's to create a more hospitable world, not just for the people in that group, but for all of us. So when you look at this is actually a session where this group, these mothers in Jalan Bukit Merah, they wanted to share what they are doing in their neighborhood. And they invited other mothers from all different neighborhoods, and they talked. And as they talked, everyone got inspired, but what happened is the whole network started growing. So they have a wider community of support, and other people started offering gifts. So that is one thing. When you are welcoming of other people, your lists of gifts actually grow, your inventory of gifts actually grow. The other thing about welcoming is, these mothers were talking about, it looks like the women are doing everything down here. Can't the men do something, right? And one of the men said, well, I can't do very much, but my friend can. So he brought a friend to the neighborhood. Friend started teaching sepak takraw. And now all these different neighborhoods, they are talking how to get a sepak takraw tournament going across different neighborhoods. So you got to be welcoming of gifts, okay? And another thing that we do is very welcome, that tries to strengthen this property, is we accept a lot of requests for learning journeys. So all sorts of people visit our neighborhoods. They can be teachers, they can be business people, people in CSR, donors, whatever. They come and we introduce them to our families. So our families actually host them. Why do we do that, right? We do that because, was that a bell? No. Okay, we do that because we tell these people, right? I mean, these people actually, so what if we live in a one-room rental flat? We are proud of our home. Can we not be proud of our home because we live in a one-room rental flat? We can be. And when you are proud of my home, people from all over the world can come and visit me, regardless. Because I have pride. I'm in a position of strength. But if I'm ashamed of my home, even if I live in a mansion, I won't allow people in. I'll say that the maids didn't clean the place. Right, so this is all a shift in perspective, how we see ourselves, and this is how we encourage. So learning journeys are great, and people actually feel very proud to host a lot of different people for the learning journeys that we have. And when they come, actually we're not here to change anybody. We just say, just come, listen, and then let's go. Now this is the third property, it's about gifts. This woman is smiling so nicely, but if you ask her social worker, she can say that she has so many problems, multiple problems, got special need kids, got this, got that. You can either look at her as a glass half empty or a glass half full. And social services don't only look at people as glass half empty. Sometimes they look at people as a bottomless pit that cannot be filled. So it's very sad. If you look at her, she's actually a valued leader in her neighborhood. Yes, she uses some social services, but she's not useless. I mean, she is a leader. There is so much potential. People are not weak just because they have problems. Right? So people actually have strengths. So even if you're a druggie, right, here we criminalize all the druggies and we lock them up. What happens? They cannot contribute to society. But can you imagine if I'm a druggie, I'm on medication, but I come out, yes, I won't live forever because I'm taking drugs. I'll live shorter lives than you. But when I still have the opportunity in the community not to do harm, but to continue doing good and to continue contributing to society, something to think about, regardless of my problems, there is something I can always give. It's whether I'm given the opportunity and the space to do so. So when you look at all these gifts and strengths of people, this is what we focus on. Like I said earlier, the raw material for community is gifts. The raw material for services are needs. So you see where we are coming from. We are focusing on gifts. And what do I want to say about this? Okay, so those gifts are not just individual gifts. In the neighborhood, when you put them collectively, the gifts actually become something very special. So all along we have very recently, we had one mother who had postnatal depression. She was screaming, her children ran down, the aunties went up, and for the next few weeks, the aunties in the neighborhood actually looked after the family, looked after the mother, made sure that she had all the necessary food and all that kind of thing. Another time, the child went missing, sent out SMS to the neighborhood group. People went, drove around, and then brought the kid back. Another time, old people in the neighborhood, they don't need government social workers to come. Their neighbors actually bring them to the hospital. So, if I can tell you the stories, there are just so many stories. People are willing to give, and people solve their own problems. So that's how we create community. We look at people and we say that we're interested in you. We're not so interested in a program, right? We look in their processes. We don't just organize things. We sometimes have to watch and see what is it they are really doing, and then we go there and support it. As opposed to, okay, you all come, I organize, I tell you what to do. What they have is also enough. You don't have to look and say, hey, you know what, I think you need leadership, or you need this, you need that. Actually, not true. If we look hard enough, it's already there. It's a matter of reorganizing things a little bit so that those things, those qualities can manifest. Yeah. Oh, we have a lot of talk about independence in this country, but you think about it, is any one of us really so independent? Actually, a lot of us get by because we have friends. It's a narrative of independence, but we talk about independence as though all of us are superheroes. Look, even superheroes, the last two superhero movies were what? Like, everyone came together and they still lost, right? I don't know, anyway. Okay, so the last one, right? We're not consumers. We have to be citizens. And, in my organization, I say you join the organization. It's beyond, even if you're a member of the staff, you must first and foremost acknowledge that you're a member of a community. A community that works with the community in rental housing neighborhoods. We are not working for people, we are working with people. And if you want to work at Beyond, you have to see yourself as a member of the community. That's one of the things that we are co-creating things with the people and not doing things for the people. So this is how we do it, and these are just some directions. And what happens when we put all those three properties together, we often see that there are a lot of kindness that emerge, generosity, cooperation, forgiveness. These are capacities that emerge within communities. Right? And I really don't know about you, but these are capacities that I hope my neighborhood has, and I'll be very happy if I live in such a neighborhood. So I hope you do too. So thank you. Yeah.